As we make our way through these crazy, crazy times, I do believe it's time for a timeout. Timeout.
Timeout. 30-second or a full?
Oh, Toast and Jam, going to try to make that day just a little bit better. We like to have you along
we
and
do.
make it happen. I'm Tim Oster, Toast, and this is Paul McDonald. He is Jam.
How are you doing, sir?
I am good. This flip-flopping in temps, I'm trying to get used to that. I was getting used to the 30s.
Right.
And all of a sudden, it's not even 10 above. But, hey.
It's North Dakota.
It is Nodak. A little break once in a while does make it nice.
Yeah.
Toast and Jam is presented by Valley City State University and broadcast from the Rhodes Science Center, high above the Valley City State University campus. How high is high?
But they still have another floor above us, too.
That's high. All right. How can people catch Toast and Jam? We better get that out there.
Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and the VCSU YouTube page. Also, toastandjam.com. There are snippets that we see on social media as well on some of the interviews, videos on the social media. But we're moving along. We're wrapping up season 2, aren't we, Toast?
Oh, I can't believe that, huh?
I can't believe that. Wrapping up year number 2. Friday will be the anniversary of when we first started this show.
Does that mean another anniversary lunch, or what are we?
Maybe.
Okay. Okay. Well, we have a very special guest with us today. We'll check in with him, but first, maybe a little sports update, Paul.
We'll just go quick. Really, the big thing right now that's going on here at VCSU, the games this weekend is the Vikings starting a 6-game homestand, but things are going to be changed a little bit due to some water getting on the playing surface at the bubble. The games for this weekend against Bismarck State and Dickinson State have been moved, and here is the schedule. And, of course, you can always go to VCSUVikings.com. Check it on Facebook, on X and Instagram. We'll have the schedules there as well. But what you can do, what's going on this weekend, Saturday, the normal game with Dickinson State, 5 and 7. That game will be at the Jamestown Civic Center. So we're moving over to the Jamestown Civic Center. All the other college arenas are being used this weekend by their schools, our home. So we got the Civic Center this weekend on Saturday from 5 to 7 with the Blue Hawks. Then on Sunday, from 2 to 4, we'll have the women at 2, the men at 4. Let me make sure I clarify. The women will tip off at 2, the men will tip off at 4 against Bismarck State.
On Sunday.
On Sunday at the Civic Center. And then the women at 5 and the men at 7 on Saturday against Dickinson State. So that's the schedule change. Again, watch our website and our social medias for VCSU Athletics as far as ticket information. We'll get that out there when things kind of get clarified and we talk things out. And we'll have that on our social media and on our website. But again, Dickinson State, women at 5, men at 7 on Saturday at the Jamestown Civic Center. And then Bismarck State College, women at 2, men at 4 on Sunday at the Jamestown Civic Center. And so that's the schedule for this weekend. Back in Frontier Conference play, a nice little homestand coming up here for the Vikings. They have, again, 6 games scheduled here at home over the next couple of weeks. But this week, that is what's going on this weekend. And anything further, we're not going to worry about. We're just going to get through this weekend right now, Saturday and Sunday at the Civic Center. Quick update on Highliner men and boys and girls basketball. They were both at Northern Cass last night. The girls won 69-45. The boys fell 59-45. Mike and Matson had 32 in that victory.
32 out of the 45?
32 out of the 45.
Really?
And for the girls, Dakota Potratz, who, of course, is coming here to play basketball here at VCSU. She led the Highliner girls with 15. They are 7-1 on the year. The boys dropped to 3-4. Now, the girls this weekend will be up in Devil's Lake for the Devil's Lake Shootout, while the boys will be in Devil's Lake next week for the Devil's Lake Shootout.
Girls are looking pretty good.
They're looking very good, ranked number 2 in the States. The new poll will be coming out later on today, so I'm going to say they'll probably stay at number 2 with South Prairie Max at number 1. Wrestling, the final home match last night, Valley City losing to Oaks. Oaks, who's number 4 in Class B, Valley City number 10. Oaks won 47-27 in boys wrestling. Boys are now 10-6 on the year, and they are going to be at a tournament coming up here this weekend. And I knew it was going to escape me where they're going for their tournament this weekend. Girls split a triangular last night, lost to Pembina County North, and then defeated Northern Lights. They were up in Cavalier, the Misses' home stomping grounds.
It is the Tornadoes.
And they're compared with other schools. That's Northern Lights, so they're paired with Can-Do and Cavalier, and they're kind of thrown together for that. The girls are 6-1 right now, and they will be at the Store Hog in Lisbon this weekend.
Wow.
I know a young lady that is close to this gentleman's heart, and she's burrowed her way into mine, too, by helping me out with photography. We'll probably be down there taking pictures this weekend. But that's what's going on with the local sports, track and field.
Yeah.
Again, they have their their indoor meet this Saturday. The Vikings will be in Fargo at the Bison Team Cup, and that will be this Saturday at the Shelley Ellig Indoor Track and Field Complex at NDSU.
Okay, it's going to pick up now.
Well,
Yeah.
It's like, don't blink, man, because we got a month and a half in districts.
This is the home stretch.
It is.
Get ready.
Absolutely.
Well, our guest today, thank you, Paul.
You're welcome.
Our guest today has been a fixture at Valley City State. Do I dare say how many years? 45 years. Toast N Jam welcomes Dave Bass, faculty athletic representative for the last 20 years. Dave, thanks for joining us.
Well, thanks, Jim, and thanks, Paul, for having me today.
Yeah. Let's begin with maybe a little background on Dave Bass. Where you grew up, where you went to high school.
Grew up in New Rockford.
Okay.
Had a great experience there. Enjoyed every part of high school. Was involved in football, basketball, track, and golf, and had a chance to compete with some very successful teams and some great friends and some awesome coaches. I spent 1 year at UND and then transferred, got married, and then spent 2 years at Valley City and graduated in the summer of 1976. And I went to Leeds, North Dakota, spent 3 years in Leeds as a Phi Ed and English teacher. Came back to Valley City at the high school for 2 years as a high school English teacher.
Okay.
And then started at the university in 1981. Coached track and cross country, helped with football for 3 years.
How did that come about?
How did the transfer?
From Valley City High School to Valley City State.
Dr. Larry Gruters was an amazing mentor, and we always had a lot of talks when I went to school here that he didn't know how long he was going to coach, and so I always felt like that's what I really wanted to do. Would really like to be able to come back to the university, and so after I'd been at Valley City High School for 2 years, he moved over to the education department as the chair of the teacher education program. And the track and field job opened up, and I applied for that. And Bill Osmond was the athletic director at the time. And so I started in 1981, and like I said, coached cross country and track, and helped with football for 3 years, and taught in physical education.
And never looked back.
And never looked back.
Just kept going.
It's just been, I mean, this is my home, and this is my blood, and I've never had any desire to really do anything else. In 1991, the teacher education program, and I loved coaching. I loved teaching probably a little bit more. And so in 1991, there was a job open in the teacher education program, and I applied for that position and moved over. So it was a great opportunity to work with Gary Thompson and Dr. Gruters, and I've been there ever since. And I really, truly have enjoyed every minute of it. Really have.
Named NAIA, I always have a hard time with NAIA District 12 Coach of the Year 4 times in cross country and twice in track and field. Pretty impressive. Remember some of the athletes back then?
Yeah, we had a really good run of, especially in the distance events. We had a really good run. Alan Falk, Bobby Hoffner.
Oh, yeah.
Arnie Falk was a multi-time All-American. Greg Gruters ran for us. Harry Clark ran for us. Then we started with the group that I had recruited, and Jeff Manley and Darren Boehm and Gary Schaefer, and you go right down the line.
Wow.
Not only highly successful on the track and on the cross-country field, but just young men that have made a difference in the world, that truly have made a difference in the world. So,
And then you had a job of assistant football coach for 3 seasons, 83 to 85, under head coach Jim Dew, I'm sure. What was that like?
well, when I went to school here, I actually helped Jim with football for 2 years in as a student assistant.
Okay.
And so when I mentioned earlier having the mentors that I've had, Dr. Gruters obviously would be at the top of that list, and Coach Dew would be in the same. Coach Lemnis, I mean, it was an amazing group of coaches in the decade of the 80s, just an amazing group
Yeah.
of coaches. And every one of them had a big impact on my life. But for sure, Coach Dew and Coach Gruters were role models in everything that they did.
I think about the conference back then. You say coaches, you know, the number of coaches and how many great coaches went through that period. I think about, you know, Jamestown, Dickinson. I mean, you had Raleigh Greeno, Hank Bijou, and the list goes on and on and on. Those are the people that I think of right away, and of course Jim Dew as well.
Yeah, and when you mentioned, Wiley Wilson at Minot State was an
No,
effective
true,
track
true.
coach, but Coach Greeno and Coach Bijou, huge role models. But things were different then. I think we competed just as hard as we compete now, but I think probably it was a rivalry. And when I say friendly rivalry, I don't mean that we didn't want to win, because we really wanted to win. But to be able to work, Coach Greeno was an amazing friend of mine, and Hank out at Dickinson was the same way. And people at Mayville State that are still friends today, I've been lucky. I've lived a charmed life.
Yeah, no kidding. Some good athletes back then too, as far as football goes.
Yeah, we had. It was an amazing run in football, and Coach Dew. And when he came here in the mid '70s, and people don't realize at that time, only 4 teams got to the NAIA playoffs back then. Only 4 teams.
Yeah.
And so to make the playoffs was, if you didn't go undefeated, you weren't going to make the playoffs for the most part. And so what he did is also being the head baseball coach and head football coach. And at that time, Don Lemnis was a full-time assistant, but Coach Dew just pieced together like people like me that didn't know much about football, and that was a body out there, but he just was an amazing coach.
Now, most recently, faculty athletic director. Tell us about that job. What does that all entail?
Every institution in the NAIA and NCAA has to have what they call a faculty athletics representative. And so that individual in the NAIA has to be appointed by the president. And it's really interesting in Valley City. Roger Ludwig was our faculty athletic rep since the mid-1960s. And then when Roger retired, Bob Brushwine became the FAR. And then Bob was FAR until 1998. And then when he retired, then they asked me to take that position. So we've really only had 3 in the last 60 years, and that's pretty amazing.
That is really kind of like the Pittsburgh Steelers, huh?
More successful, though.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, the biggest change you've probably seen in college sports in your 45 years at VCSU?
I think, if we really want to get to the highest level and want to start talking about NIL and the transfer portal and how that impacts things, even at our level it does. Mm-hmm. We lost some football players this year that transferred to NCAA Division II schools because athletes from Division II went up to FCS, and it impacted us. We lost 3 really good players this past year during the summer that would have had huge impacts in our program. And so when we don't have $1 million contracts, and we don't have $500,000 NIL deals, but we've seen the same type of, if I don't get to play a lot, I'm going to go somewhere else and find playing time. That's way more prevalent than it used to be. And if you want me to be honest about that, I mean, it saddens me that we've lost, I think, a lot of our commitment. And we've lost some of that from coaches taking different jobs, too, when you talk about how static our coaches were back in the NDCAC and even the Dakota Athletic Conference.
Yeah.
But it's changing. It's, you know, the times change, and you have to change with it. But I do wish we could get back to where money wasn't such a focal point and competition was.
For the love of the game and also the love of the school, loyalty, that kind of thing.
The loyalty is a huge factor
Yeah,
in
it is.
that, you know, and I can understand the argument on the other side of that a young man or a young lady has an opportunity to change their lifestyle and their family's lifestyle. But I just wish there was a better way that we could do it and police that a little bit better.
How do we hold on to these athletes?
Um,
Is there a secret formula?
At our level, I think, you know, if you look at what our retention is in our athletic program, I'm really proud of that. I think it's really, really good. So we don't have, like, and I'm just not picking on NDSU or UND, but if they lose 11, 12, or 13 football players, we don't lose players that go to other schools like that. And so I do think that we've done a really good job of hanging on and retaining our student athletes. But I think loyalty to the university, like you already mentioned, and the relationship between the coaches and the student athletes, that's what we need to do to keep them here, because we're not going to be able to keep them here because of scholarships or because of money.
And there is that job at the end of the rainbow, too. You know, I mean, you got to look ahead to the future. Hopefully, they're also looking at that job, not just playing football or basketball or whatever.
They're in school for a reason, and athletics can be an important part of how they enjoy that time in college. But yeah, they're here for a reason, and that's to get that degree and walk across the stage.
Well, you've definitely seen a transition at VCSU over the years, growing to one of the top colleges in the Midwest and even the country. What has made that happen?
I smile when you ask that question, Tim, because when I came here, we were just over 1,000 students.
Right.
And we stayed at 1,000 for a long time.
I think you were
then-
at 1,000 when I came here in '91.
Yeah, no, it's since, I mean, even when I went to school here, we've hovered around 1,000 for a long, long time. And when they started to talk about, okay, our goal in the next 5 years is to get to 1,500 students, I couldn't picture that. I couldn't imagine that. And now here we are. And there are a lot of reasons for that. I think online opportunities has changed that significantly. I think our on-campus student population has been stable, but online has been a big factor, and dual credit has been a big factor. And we've had people that have had the foresight to put that into place. And so we're happy where we are right now, and we always want to try and continue to grow.
I think I remember the day of the handing out of laptops. That seemed to be a turning point. I mean, back, I don't know, when was that?
1996.
Yeah.
In the fall of 96.
Yeah. You remember it well, I take.
I do, because I remember the training that we did in the spring of 96. And, there were a lot of questions at that time. And, well, I'm really old now. I was old enough then to going into that computer age and that technology age there was a lot of learning. And I remember our first years with the laptop, and, some days you'd go into class and the technology was down, and you almost forgot how to, if we need to use a whiteboard or a chalkboard, we can still teach. And this happened just yesterday. Blackboard went down, and Blackboard is what we use as our online system. And I was teaching in our NDSU elementary program yesterday, and Blackboard wasn't available. And you just have to take a deep breath and say, wait a minute now, can we still have class if we don't have Blackboard? So, yeah, there are changes, and yet teaching is all about relationships.
Yeah, it is.
Just like coaching is all about relationships.
It is. I think just
And
about
that I hope will never change.
And I think just about any field you go into, it's relationships most of the time. I think you've already answered this question, but I'm going to do it again. What has kept you at Valley City State?
Okay, I very rarely have shared this story, but it's a direct question. In 1997, I had an opportunity to go to NDSU as the women's cross country and track and field coach. And the next morning, an announcement was going to be made, and that the evening before, we'd been down in Fargo that day, and Patty and I, my wife and I, were walking down the sidewalk, and our daughter Jada was 4 years old at that time. And we said to each other, why would we want to move? Why would we want to leave? I mean, where we lived was blocks away from Jefferson Elementary, blocks away from the swimming pool, blocks away from the dairy. I mean, why would we want to leave Valley City? And no offense to Fargo and no offense to NDSU, but we felt like we had heaven here.
Yep.
And so, while I'd spent 16 years up to that time in Valley City, that was a real reinforcement to me that this is home, this is where I want to be.
Yeah, the greatest place, I think, in the world to raise kids.
Absolutely.
It was for us, and I know it was for you, too.
100%, yeah.
Can you pinpoint maybe a few, if you had a greatest memories CD or tape, you know how they have their greatest hits, groups have their greatest hits. Greatest memories in your time here at Valley City State, a few. I know that's hard.
How much time do we have?
Yeah, how much time?
Well, here's one for sure, because it was my first year. We ran at the University of Minnesota, and the Golden, what they called at that time, the Golden Gopher Classic. And there were 6 other high-level NCAA schools. And Valley City State shows up with this little van, and nobody really gave us much. And Arnie Falk won that meet.
Wow.
But I remember I had a really good friend that had been a highly successful runner for the University of Minnesota. And I don't think he even took us very seriously. And all of a sudden, they're coming up this hill, and there's about 200 meters to go. And he said, your guy's going to win it. Like, he couldn't believe somebody from Valley City would do that. I'll never forget that. And just, you know, Gary Schaefer went in the national marathon. That was huge. And that was out in California. And Gary had trained so hard for 4 years. He was an All-American his sophomore year. And then we didn't run the marathon the junior year. That was all planned. And then came back his senior year. But we did not plan to win that race. We planned that it would be an All-American performance again. But I'll never forget that in the track at that time, when you finish the marathon, you run your last lap around the track. And all I could say to him is just keep your feet, don't fall down, and just finish the race. And he actually won by quite a bit. But,
wow.
You know, that was a huge one. And then I got one more for cross-country that we competed, and this is when Matt Olson, Darren Bain, Gary Schaefer ran. And we went to Minnesota, and it was a triangular.
You like to
And
run in Minnesota,
we did
don't
not
you?
know what we were getting into because they invited us down, and back then you didn't have technology we didn't have cell phones. They invited us down, and we had a date, and that's all we knew. And we got down there, and it was a triangular with the University of Minnesota and the University of Iowa and Valley City State. And I think our guys were really freaked out. But we actually were very close to, and I don't remember the score, but we were really close to Minnesota, and we beat Iowa. And that was a really good cross-country team with those 3 front runners.
Man.
You know, Matt was a
Yeah.
freshman from Valley City High School, and Darren and Gary were veterans at that time.
Well, one more question for you, and then I'll let Paul tackle a few. But you've outlasted quite a few presidents, and what an all-star group of presidents you've had, though, in your time here.
Yeah, we started with President DeVries, and
Yeah.
we've gone now through, right now, interim President Burgad, but we've been very fortunate. I mean, we've had great leadership from each of the individuals that has led our university.
Yeah.
And and the same thing for the most part would be true of athletic directors. When you look at how others have transitioned from AD to AD to AD. We've had some short timers, but for the most part, we've had people that have been really committed to the university.
Even the ones that were short timers were very committed.
Very, yeah.
I think of Don Bauer.
Yep.
A short time, but very committed.
Yep. We've been very fortunate to have that leadership.
Definitely.
Well, when you mentioned some of your athletes that you had as a coach, if fans want to go on to our social media, we have this being the 100 years of Vikings.
Yeah.
And our Viking lore, our story that we had this week is from Jeff Manley.
Yep.
Talking about when they hosted the conference meet at the country club, and he was an individual champion, but what he remembers is his teammates. Not so much winning that individual championship, but the team meeting that they had at the bubble afterwards. But if you read about it, we've had some from Arnie as well here recently, and I've got one coming up from him a little later on about an Alcasal meet. But that's one thing that all of these Viking lore stories that I've received from these athletes. Yes, the accomplishment that they had was one thing, but then they talk about their teammates and how special their teammates were, and that's the part that is cool for me. And they stay in touch. I'm sure you stay in touch with some of your athletes that you had as a coach, and they all stay in touch. So that's just something that always burns in my brain is how they talk about their relationship that they had with their teammates.
Yeah, we've been blessed to have great young men and great young women, and people look at cross country as an individual sport, and I never did, and not every runner that came here agreed with me on that. But to me, at the end of the day, you have a team score, and the team score is going to be the team winner. And so you have to have great individuals to get to that team score, but you have to have people that, and so Arnie's story and Jeff's story are almost like identical in terms of how they appreciated the support they had from their teammates.
Very, very focused athletes. That's the difference I think I see in the athlete of yesterday and athlete today. The athletes back there, very, very focused on the college, on what they do here at the college. Now it's a lot of distraction. Hey, am I going to end up somewhere else? Are they going to offer me? I do well. Are they going to offer me this? A lot of distraction, and that's the way of the world today, I guess.
It is. It's much harder, I think, to be a college coach today than it was back then. Much harder.
Yeah. And, they've developed positions now in these bigger schools to handle the NIL and the portal and all of that. They've developed a position for that because the coaches can't do it.
Did we ever imagine that an athletic program would have a general manager, just like they have in the NFL and the NBA, a general manager to manage all the money that's flowing through?
Incredible.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Frontier Conference, our first year in the Frontier Conference as a faculty athletic representative. Dave, what's been one of the biggest challenges that you've seen with this changeover to what has turned out to be one of the best conferences in the country in NEIA?
Yeah, I think, I remember we did a site visit at BSC when they were having their site visit in terms of NEIA membership. And at that time, we had still been, and if you'd asked me what I wanted to do, I wanted to go Division II. And I wanted to put what I said, the band back together, and Minot and Dickinson. And
the old
Mary,
DAC 10 would have been great.
Get us back together. And it breaks my heart that we weren't able to do that, because I think that would have been best for every institution that would have come back together. But when I was at BSC and it was getting late, that was in, I believe, February, and our conference was going to be done in May. And Scott Crawford was on that visit, and we just said, we don't have any other options. I mean, we don't at Valley City State. As hard as Mac worked, and he worked like crazy to put that together, and I'll always appreciated that, we couldn't get the support from the others that we needed that support. And so I remember saying to Scott, if we put this together, we're going to have, I think, the best conference in the NAIA. And so I think there are three that stand out, and the Frontier is definitely one of those three.
And Scott Crawford's the commissioner of the Frontier
Okay,
Conference. Dr.
okay,
Crawford
okay.
is the commissioner.
Yeah, and that whole thing about the D2 thing, with what you were thinking about, would have fit into that NSIC so nicely. It was a perfect fit.
Yep.
But maybe down the road, I don't know. Is that still a thought, or is it a possibility?
If you're asking Dave Bass if he had a chance to do that tomorrow, he would do it tomorrow. I'm only one voice, and I have no control over that.
Yeah, right.
But I
right.
do think for our student athletes and for our budget and for our competitiveness, I do think putting that group back together would be ideal.
And I think it would make it a very solid conference. And I think it would be good for those teams that are there now in that D2 situation. It would help them too.
Totally
They
agree.
are struggling
Yep, totally agree.
in the current NSIC conference.
Totally.
Yeah.
And
That's
of
too
course,
bad.
the travel has been
Oh, yeah.
unbearable
Oh.
for these student athletes.
Yep.
In 8, 9, 10, 11-hour
Yeah.
bus rides out to Montana, and it's grueling. It's
Yeah,
grueling.
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, 8 hours in terms of a couple of the trips we have to make, that would get us halfway there. So yeah, it's been tough.
Yeah. Okay. I'm
Yeah, it's and you were
I'm
talking about
questioned
the laptops. I'll maybe we'll do this for a photo of the day, but I have
Yeah.
a box full of pictures. Those, the pictures, those are things that you had to be developed
yeah. Yeah.
from 96, 97 that our own Eric Kringley took when he was working back in those days of kids with these laptops.
Yeah.
And it's kind of interesting
it is
how
very-
the look on their face and look at what I have. I have this laptop.
Baby, we've come a long way. Since
We have come a
1996.
long way.
Yeah.
You forget how
I
much
tell you.
change there is.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Well, Dave, again, thank you for spending time for us. What a special gift you are to Valley City State University. Appreciate all you've done.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
You bet.
You bet.
Keep doing what you do.
Okay.
bet.
Today in sports history, if you want to stick around, you sure can. You might remember some of these items. Today in sports history, Paul, 1951, I don't think we remember this one, but first NFL Pro Bowl. That was at the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum. American Conference beats the Nationals 28-27. You want to take a run at who the MVP was?
In 1951,
1951 played for the Cleveland Browns.
Otto
Yes.
Graham.
Otto Graham. By the way, that was one of the top names in 1925, or in 19, what am I talking about here? One of the top names from 2025. Otto. It's coming back.
Interesting.
1968, Super Bowl II, Miami Orange Bowl. Packers beat Oakland 33-14. MVP?
Was it Bart Starr?
It was.
Yeah.
You're pretty good at this. 1985, Martina Navratilova is third to win 100 tennis tournaments. The other two?
The other two to win 100.
Yes.
Was she the third person or
She's the
third woman?
Third person.
19, what year? 85?
1985.
Was Jimmy Connors in there?
Yes.
Boy, this is where I need
I think Dave knows the other one.
my lifeline.
Arthur Ashe,
No. A female.
A female.
Martina Navratilova.
She won. Yeah, she was one of
Althea
them.
Gibson.
No. Everett.
Oh, Chrissy Everett.
Chrissy
Chrissy Everett.
Yeah.
Wow.
2001, I think this was one of the saddest days in Minnesota Viking history. 2001, the NFC Championship, East Rutherford. Giants beat the Vikings 41-0.
Yeah.
And there was another one, too, with the Eagles. That wasn't pretty either.
That was just a few years ago.
That wasn't that long
Yeah.
ago, yeah. And last year, 2 years ago now, Dan Campbell leads Detroit to their first playoff win since 1991. They beat the Rams. So there you have it. Birthdays are short,
Okay.
not many.
Okay.
Carl Weathers,
Okay.
football player, actor, the Rocky films,
Mm-hmm.
Rocky 1 through 4. Was also on Street Justice. Passed away in 2024. Another birthdays, Jason Bateman, 56.
Mm-hmm.
Faye Dunaway is 84 today.
Wow.
Today. And LL Cool J
LL
is
Cool J.
54. Joke of the day.
Oh, here it comes.
Look out.
All right.
This comes from my granddaughters in Minot, Tiffany's girls. Dave knows Tiff.
Yep.
Tiff
Yep.
was at Valley City State.
Yep.
Why did the tomato blush? Why did the tomato blush? No idea?
It was stewed? I don't know.
Because it saw the salad dressing.
Oh,
Girls, you did it up again. And the granddaughters in Minot. Why did the tomato
They need to go on the
blush?
road.
They do, because it saw salad dressing. Toast and Jam going to wrap it up for another week. But, Leigh, let's talk where the Vikings are going to go here. Are they going to keep J.J. McCarthy? Dave, what do you think?
Do I want them to?
That's the question.
I want them to keep him. I want them to bring somebody in that can make an impact and give him 3 more years to develop.
Yep.
That's what I want.
Yep. Yep. Kind of like student driving. You don't put them in there right away. But, yeah, I think they need somebody in that maybe as a backup role, but can kind of take over when there are problems. And Wentz, I think, could have been the perfect guy for that. Just didn't have the offensive line to work that situation. There were moments that he did come through for him, but he just got beat up
And
so
did it
bad.
without any training camp. And did it
Exactly.
without any
Yep.
preparation.
Yep,
So he was put into a really difficult situation.
I think so too. Yeah. Twins, I just want to remind folks, Twins Caravan is going to be at the Sanctuary downtown Fargo next Thursday, the 22nd.
Okay.
And they've got Atterbury coming, and they've got this, what is this, Keishel?
Okay.
He's going to be an up-and-comer, I think, for the Twins. Carl no, not Carl, but Glenn Perkins.
Glenn Perkins,
He's
yeah.
going to be the what do you call it?
Speaker.
They always bring an older player along,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
a past player,
Yeah.
and he's going to be there as well. So that's next Thursday. Sanctuary is downtown Fargo, but check that out. Twins are coming up here soon. I don't know what they're going to do, but they need a bullpen. I think their starting is okay, and I think they have enough players to make things happen.
Mm-hmm.
But they need a bullpen. They kind of decimated that last year. But anyway, and a new manager too for him. So.
Yep. Mr. Shelton.
Shelton. Okay. Anything else in the sports world?
Just a quick
you wanna
reminder.
pass on?
Just to get a quick reminder about the Vikings.
Yeah.
Again, VCSU Viking men's and women's basketball on the move. They are home games, but they are going to be in Jamestown. They will play Dickinson State on Saturday at the Jamestown Civic Center. The women tip off at 5, the men at 7, and they'll play Bismarck State College on Sunday. The women tip off at 2, and the men will tip off at 4. So the Vikings on the move here. They are home games, but they will be in Jamestown due to water getting on the floor at the ball.
Okay. All right. Civic Center's all right. Nice place.
Nice place.
You bet.
Yeah.
Again, I want to thank today's guest, Dave Bass, VCSU. What a career. Hey, thanks for joining us. And thanks to our production team. Pretty quiet.
Yeah, he's quiet over there. Is he awake?
I think so.
I think so.
Hey, Mark, thank you. Toast and Jam is presented by Valley City State University and broadcast from the friendly confines of the Road Science Center. Beautiful place, always has been. And many options on how you can catch Toast and Jam. One more time.
Spotify, Apple Podcasts, VCSU YouTube page, and, of course, toastandjam.com. And you can always check out our social media for those snippets as we talk with our guests and follow us along. Finishing up year number 2.
Year number 2. Can't believe it. See you all next week. Toast and Jam saying bye-bye for now.